Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I read that correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
and
other state officials for punishing people for
Did you honestly say that, Professor? And you expect us,
that the First Amendment,
as a Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
you
the First
heard
Amendment
of curb
seriously,
your enthusiasm? Sir. Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because this hearing wasn't just heated, it was Kentucky fried. Senator John Kennedy just roasted a woke Democrat professor so badly she might need a tenured seat in the burn unit. Professor Franks walked in full of attitude, loaded with buzzwords about patriarchy, privilege, and oppression. And Kennedy? He came with receipts. And by the time he was done, she looked like she'd just seen her own Twitter history flash before her eyes. Before we jump in, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want front row seats to moments like this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for having to miss the testimony of some of you, and I appreciate you coming today. Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley's, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that, I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship industrial complex.
I got that part.
No, I just
want
to
to
clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words, "Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy," end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, "When the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, "by simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court," referring to the current United States Supreme Court, "has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well," close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question is.
let me show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m., quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything," including democracy, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this
Did you
hearing.
say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is
you
the
said it.
relevance of
Here
that
it
to
is,
this
big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me
doctrine.
like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy," close quote.
So here's how it started. The room was calm, Kennedy was polite, and Professor Franks had that "I'm smarter than everyone here" look going on. Kennedy asked, "Professor, you said it's a myth that the Biden administration ever pressured people to censor speech, but that Trump did. Is that right?" She smirked and said, "That's correct." And right there, you could see Kennedy's eyebrow twitch. The man smelled nonsense. He leaned in and asked, "Do you think your political beliefs might be affecting your objectivity?" She said no. And Kennedy just gave her that Southern gentleman's smile that usually means, "Ma'am, I'm about to politely ruin your day." Kennedy pulled out a paper like a man about to drop an anvil on Wile E. Coyote. "Professor," he said, "you wrote for the New York University Law Review, didn't you?" She nodded proudly. Kennedy started reading her words out loud. "The Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy." You could hear the oxygen leave the room. Then he continued, "By declaring a right to self-defense, the court promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill." Kennedy looked up and said, "You really wrote that?" She said yes. Kennedy nodded slowly like he was mentally drafting a sympathy card for her credibility. "Bless your heart." You could almost hear him thinking. Then Kennedy dropped the hammer. He read another gem from her article. "The Supreme Court has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact." Kennedy said, "Did you write that?" She smiled faintly and said, "That sounds like me." Kennedy leaned back, half grinning, half stunned. "Ma'am," he said, "you sound like a Twitter account that needs a nap." At that moment, the arrogance started to drain right out of her. The room wasn't buying what she was selling anymore, but Kennedy wasn't done. Oh no. He pulled out the social media receipts like a man scrolling through screenshots before a breakup. He said, "You tweet a lot, don't you?" She rolled her eyes. "I don't see how that's relevant." So Kennedy read one aloud. "The majority of Americans hate women more than they love democracy." He looked up and said, "Did I read that correctly?" She hesitated. "I don't have that in front of me." Kennedy fired back. "You should. Seems like you wrote it often enough." Then he read another one. "The conservative Supreme Court believes in guns but not abortion because of white male supremacy." Kennedy sighed. "Do you actually believe that, or do you just tweet after 3 cups of coffee and no supervision?" She tried to pivot, but Kennedy wasn't letting go. And that's when he dropped the mic line of the century. "You've heard of Curb Your Enthusiasm? Well, here's mine, Curb My Nausea." The crowd lost it. You could practically hear Democrats cringing in surround sound. By the time it was over, Professor Franks looked like someone who'd brought a PowerPoint to a knife fight. She came in swinging her ideology, but Kennedy turned her own words into her undoing. Every tweet, every quote, every smug response, he sliced through it with that perfect mix of logic, humor, and Southern charm. And the best part? He didn't raise his voice once, just calm, cutting precision. Kennedy didn't debate her. He demolished her with a smile. If you enjoyed that takedown as much as I did, go ahead and smash that like button. Leave a comment below. Did Kennedy go too hard, or was that the perfect dose of truth and comedy? And don't forget to subscribe for more fiery hearings, epic clapbacks, and political moments that will make your popcorn run out. See you next time, where facts hit harder than feelings.